Hi, it's Boris from the Guide to Easy Painting, and today I'm going to show you how to do your own paint. So for starters, let's get through some material that you will need. And here you can see I've got a mask with two filters, so that'd be handy for the fumes. Some homemade linseed oil, a little bit of turpentine. You will need pigments, of course. This one is Indian blue. I get it from France, a company called the Ochre Company, or Ochre of France. I get it from both. I'll leave a link underneath if you're interested. We will need a tube, an empty tube, to store the paint, or I also store them in some jars that I later put some black tape around to keep it light tight. These tubes, I get them from Jackson's, but today we are going to use that jar. It is just a simple jam jar, and all you have to do is scoop the paint out when you need it. So we are going to need a little weighing machine as well, a scale, some gloves. Really important. Not that the pigment itself is dangerous, but you wouldn't want to eat it, so the gloves are just to prevent you from putting your hands in your mouth and so eating the pigments, which in this case I'm sure would not be very kind to your body. So once we got that, we are going to weigh the amount of pigment we need. So a tube of paint is about 100 grams of pigments, and this will depend on the pigment as well. Sometimes a bit less. It's rarely more, but sometimes it can be a bit less, like 80 grams. So this would be roughly 3 ounces. I think 1 ounce is 27 grams, something like that. So roughly, but anyway, you make the maths. I give it in grams, it's easier for me. So I do it in two portions, so I get 50 grams out first, because I don't want to overflow the lid and therefore have pigments everywhere, because it's going to go everywhere. The slab underneath is granite. It's a slab of granite. You can buy slabs of glass. That is how it would have been done originally, but granite works just as well, and it just keeps that table a little bit, it keeps it a bit steadier on the table, really. Although you will see later on the table moves quite a bit, because my table has got some wheels, and so I can move it where I need to. So of course it will make all that process a little bit wavy. I'm sure you get through it. I hope you're not seasick. So this is the second portion we put on the slab there. So this is a general guide. This is how I do it. I think the only difference with some other videos that I could find on YouTube is that I'm adding a bit of turpentine to start with in the pigment, and then add oil, just so the pigment gets soaked a bit. It's easier, I think, for the process. Also we got a syringe, so I can get the quantity I'll need. Usually I use about anything, again it depends on the pigment, but anything between 10 to 20 milliliter of oil. But it really depends on the pigment. Some just need 10, some will need 20, so you have to judge it really. There is no given weight there, measurement. You have to judge it, but you can start with 10 and then work your way. So I'll get everything ready. I'll put my mask on for the fumes, and this is more for the turpentine, because turpentine can be very strong. It's also very dangerous, so I need to warn you. You have to work, or you have to be able to work in a very, very well ventilated room. So I've got ventilation, sucking the air out and some pushing the air in again, and also got my windows open, so it's quite safe. Plus I wear protections. But if you don't have all that, well, skip the turpentine. It is quite safe to do it with the oil. Just put an ordinary mask on. We're all used to those masks now with this current situation, and you're good to go. So I'll use a bit of turpentine just to start to break down a little bit the mixture, to make the process a little bit easier of mixing. So again, sometimes I use more, sometimes I use less, and sometimes with some pigments I don't use any turpentine at all. I just use pure oil. The turpentine will evaporate eventually anyway, so it won't be any left in your mix, and all you have is the nice pigment with just linseed oil. So as I say, the linseed oil, let's first say that you put everything together first. See, I just go back and forth until I've got a paste, and then you put everything into a paste in a consistency that you like, in order to start to mold the lot, to break it further down. Sometimes there are a little bit of sand, like sand grains left in there, so you break them down with a mauler. Anyway, I've got what I believe is a good consistency for me, and now I do the same with the second lot. So while I'm doing this, I'm just talking about the oil. That's it. So I do my own linseed oil. I have got at this moment, I have got a video, but it's in French. So I will dub this video maybe after this one, but I will wait for your comments if you want to see it. So I will make a video on how to do your own linseed oil, cold pressed. So not cold pressed, I use cold pressed linseed oil, but how to purify your linseed oil, because you can buy linseed oil in a DIY shop. It will be cold pressed, but it's too dark to be used, so you'll have to purify it first, and that is the process I am showing in another video, so you can use it in your oil paint. Also show you how to thicken it, or explain to you how to thicken it in the process. Okay, so I promise I'm not leading you through all the video in real time, because this takes hours. So for this pigment I think it took me exactly an hour, so we won't have an hour of video. I will speed it up soon, but I thought the start is quite important for you to understand what we're looking for to have a nice flowing paint. So now we mix it all together. So if you would need only a certain quantity to paint, for example, you don't paint that much and you only want, well, enough to paint one picture, so you can do that too. You just get a tablespoon out of pigment, do exactly the same thing but in a smaller scale, use a small molar, and get it all ready just for the day. So it takes you 10 minutes. But the benefit of doing your paint yourself is that you have pure pigment, therefore you use much less. So once you mix it with white, that tinting power is so strong you don't need loads to achieve what you would normally struggle with shop bought paint. And that's not general. There are some makes out there very good but very expensive, because if we talk price, this there is 1 kilo of powder of Indian blue, and I paid €14 for the whole lot. So out of that I'm going to do about 10, so 600 milliliter of paint, so 10 60 ml tubes. So here in French I just explain that the table is moving. I'm sorry if you seasick, but anyway, I'm sure it'll be alright. Just have a bucket near you. Okay, so back to the paint. Yeah, the cost €14 for 900 grams. You wouldn't, so in out of that you get 600 milliliter of paint out. You wouldn't get that in any brand. You wouldn't pay that price. It would be impossible. And I'm going to be good for many years with that. Many years. So I'll put you the link underneath. It's a French company. You'll have to shop around, see if you've got something similar in England. We are very lucky to have some manufacturers who are making the pigments from rocks, or natural pigments, or synthetic pigments. But yeah, we are very lucky. We've got 3 very renowned manufacturers who do those pigments. So I'll leave the link of the couple I think are the best down below, and see if it's worth for you to get it, because obviously you will have postage, and I don't even know if they ship into England, but maybe there's a way for you to get it. So here we go. We start getting that molar going. We do circles, figure of eights, back and forward strokes. What matters is that you get that paste back in the middle of the molar and just squish it around. So it doesn't need super pressure, but just a pressure enough to get all this finer with the molar. So see, I scoop it back all together, and then once I'm happy with that first path, I'm using a bigger molar. Again, the molars, you can buy them at Jackson's. These are coming from Jackson's. There are French companies as well doing them. They're all ranging about anything between 25 and 60 euro. So make sure you scrape everything off. You've got put everything back in on the table, and then once you're ready, you grab the bigger molar and you get cracking. So obviously I will speed up the video, because as I said, this process is going to take me about an hour to have it at the right consistency. Some pigments are going to bind very, very quickly, and you'll only be needing maybe 20 minutes to half an hour for that same quantity. So it really depends on the pigment. Generally, a natural earthy pigment are thicker and need more grinding. Also, sometimes it may be good to grinding it a bit more in a pestle and mortar. So I think that sounds maybe a bit drastic, but it's not that bad. It's just if you want to win a bit of time, because they're not that thick, but sometimes it is like a very, very, very thin. How can I explain it? Gritty sand. I don't know. It's not as big as sand, but there's small particles who are, especially in the earth pigments, that need a bit more grinding. Let's put it that way, to get something smooth. So, starting it in a mortar and pestle, is that the name? I'm not 100% sure, but you see what I mean. Pestle and mortar and pestle. I don't know. Please excuse me about that spelling. I'm not sure, but I'm sure you know what I mean. And so if you start it off in there and then with the molar, you get great results. So here you see me going in circles, small figures of 8. It depends on the mood you are in. Get the second lot done. Try to get them the same consistency at the end. Join them together and go over it all together so it gets a uniform paste. See, that one's quite wet. It drips quite a bit. You don't want it to drip. You want it to be holding together like whipped cream. That's it, or thick cream. So when you take a dollop, you put it on a pile, you want that pile to stay and not collapse. That's it. Again, that is a preference of taste. I rather add more oil later on in the process when I'm painting. Just add a little bit of oil if it's just on the brush. So I rather add a little bit more than having something too runny. So you also can add some pigments. If it's too runny, you add some pigments. By combining both, we'll have a good result. So make sure you scrape everything off the molar again, put it back in the center and start the whole process again. Now you can clearly see that I put a little bit more pressure to really get those pigments mixed all together. An hour later, finish the whole batch with figure of eights, use the whole slab there. Again, sorry for that table who's moving. It doesn't bother me as such, but I didn't realize it would bother the viewer. So here we go, see how speedy I am there? That'd be great if I'd be that quick. So this is the texture you're looking for, a nice shine, and when you push onto it, you've got a nice consistency. See? Look at that nice shine. And you can see it being very smooth, but still holding very much all together. See, when I put it there, it doesn't move, it doesn't go anywhere. It's just the right consistency. Now I put it in a pot. And obviously I've got about 60 to 70 grams of mixture there. That pot is 100 grams, so it doesn't quite fill it, but it doesn't matter. This will keep for a long time. So as I said, I put a tape around it to keep it opaque, black, and then it gets in a cupboard where it stays like that forever and ever. So here we go, let's put a bit of white to show you that nice tint. Look at that. Look at that. You don't need much. Just show you a gradation of it. Show you a gradation of it. Let's see, from a dark blue to a light blue. Look at that sky. That's what I see already. How I can use this paint in some beautiful springy, summery skies. Look at that, beautiful. That Indian blue is a very beautiful blue for skies. So, and probably sea as well, especially the highlights of the sea. So if you're a fan of skies and seas, that's a color for you. It's really nice. I don't always have it on the palette, but when I need it, it's good to have it. So here we go, that's airtight now, and this video is coming to an end. I hope you enjoyed it. Please comment and subscribe if you not already have done so. Have a fantastic day and a great painting. I'll see you soon.